Good morning, Colts Nation. It is game day. Welcome to Spot Colts Radio pregame Q&A. A lot of questions to get to on this opening Sunday of the season as our Colts go to Mile High to Sunday Night Football with the Denver Broncos to try to duplicate last season's win. Again, visit profootballspot.com. It's a forum-based website covering all 32 NFL teams. Sign up, become a member for free, interact with all of our writers and contributors. We've got a lot of questions. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right to them. First, let's start off with the injury report. Questionable are Sergio Brown, Khaled Holmes, and Eric Walden. Although I've heard that Sergio Brown is actually labeled as out, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Colts.com still currently has him as questionable. Probable, Geyser Chairless, Jonathan Harrison, LaRon Landry, and Reggie Wayne, although we all know that Reggie's going to be playing today without a doubt. Landry and Harrison as well, and Chairless, I believe that they're all good to go. The only one that's actually labeled as out is Joe Wrights. So, again, let's get to these questions. Got one from Facebook from Devin. What do you think it'll take for the Colts to win tonight? It's going to take similar to last season. They still have Peyton Manning as their quarterback. It's going to be, we're going to need at least 2 to 3 turnovers, probably one on special teams along with an interception. They're going to have to get constant pressure on Peyton, get him off his spot, get him moving around, get him uncomfortable in the backfield. They're going to have to make him try to hand the ball off to Monte Ball as often as possible, and they're going to have to be able to stop the run. Basically, any game's expectations are going to be the same for here, except we're dealing with former Colt and guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer in Peyton Manning. So it's not going to be an easy task, but they're still going to have to get their game together. They're going to have to play out, and the defense is going to be extremely important today in getting a victory. You got a Twitter question from Kyle. Who's more of a threat to Luck and the Colts offense, Talib or Ware? I'm not as high on Talib as a lot of people are, although Talib is definitely a top 10 corner. I think that Ware presents more of a task at hand due to the fact that our offensive line has extremely underimpressed so far in the preseason, and they don't look to be world beaters by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. And that could prove to be one of the key issues is keeping Ware out of the backfield and out of Andrew Luck's hip pocket. If they can do that, I think they'll be fine. Talib, on the other hand, he does present an interesting matchup for about whoever he comes up against. I don't see him mirroring anybody in specific or in particular. I think that I think that he'll be there to be a menace. And if I'm not mistaken, he did get a pick last season in the divisional round when the Colts played the Patriots. So he definitely has an impact. I don't see Andrew Luck staying away from him for that matter for any reason. The Denver secondary is much improved from last season, and Andrew Luck's going to have to go out and just play his game and not worry about who's covering who and whether they're in the slot or if they're outside the numbers. It's going to be a game just like any other game. Andrew Luck's going to go out. He's going to hit his reads, and he's going to try to take them for what they're worth and what they're giving him. I don't I don't see that the corners are going to be an issue or the coverage. I think actually T.J. Ware probably or T.J. Ward actually presents a bit more of a problem for Luck with him hovering around center field as opposed to Aqib Talib. Next question is from Tim. Will loss of Mathis be equalized by Denver's loss of Welker? This is a Facebook question. I don't think so. I think that Denver has Emmanuel Sanders to step in there as well as Cody Latimer. I don't think that as important as Welker is and as good as he is, I don't see him being or his absence being a reason for Denver's demise. Last season, we all but took care of Demarius Thomas, Vontae Davis, and that proved to be beneficial for the Colts to take care of the Broncos. However, these guys are too good, and they've played together now for a couple years, and they've got their timing down and everything else. Emmanuel Sanders does have the unfortunate ability to stretch the field as well, whereas Welker's not quite as fast. He's more of the come across the middle, which is what got him his concussion in the first place on dig routes and so on and so forth. Cody Latimer's a bigger, more physical wide receiver. I think that he would more than likely take the slot position and fill more so of Welker's shoes, as in same type of routes, same type of availability. I think they'll send a lot of motions with these guys in the slot. I think they'll send Demarius Thomas in motion, uh, starting outside and then coming inside of the slot to where he's a matchup problem. But I think the Colts defense, as far as getting to the Mathis point, I think the Colts defense have shown that they can get pressure on the quarterback without Robert Mathis in the lineup. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a stud. He's one of our best defensive players for sure, and he'll be sorely missed. However, I don't see the Colts just falling off the face of the map and not getting any pressure with him being unavailable for the first few weeks, especially today. Last season, when the Broncos came into Indianapolis, we did see Robert have his way with the Denver line. However, Denver's line is one of the tops in the league, as we discussed the other night with my colleague from Spot Broncos, Eric Trickle. He made the point that these guys are healthy, they're together, and there's Pro Bowlers all up and down the line, and it'll be a tough go. But I see Bjorn Warner. Don't Obviously we don't know the health of Eric Walden yet, whether he's going to play or not. Whether it's Newsom that fills in for him, or Cam Johnson getting a lot of playing time and getting a lot of snaps out there at outside linebacker. One way or another, they're gonna have people to get pressure. We've got a much improved defensive line this year that can get pressure and take on blockers, and it's going to prove beneficial. I think the Colts will do their job, and I think they'll do well with or without Mathis, especially without him today. Next question is a Facebook question. What can we expect from Fleener and Allen today? I think that you're going to see throughout the preseason. I didn't expect Dwayne Allen to get a whole lot of looks, to get a whole lot of catches. I think that they're going to use him a lot in the blocking scheme for both the running and pass blocking. I don't think that we'll see them on the same side as far as Fleener being split with Dwayne Allen being on the line. However, I do think that they will send both of them to the same side a couple times, at least to throw off their defense and create matchup problems for Denver's secondary and their linebackers, and to do more of a 1-2 high-low read system. It seems to work out well for these two, regardless of who takes the high or the low route, as far as a short route or a deeper route, more of a seam style or a dig or an out, or a mirror read. So I think we'll see the regular Fleener. That doesn't mean that he's going to get a ton of catches today. I just think that they're going to run him and use him to split the seam a lot, as they always do. And I think Dwayne Allen's going to be used a lot in the blocking schemes. Although I do feel that he is going to get his catches. I feel he's going to be one of Luck's biggest and most important red zone targets this year. I think that they'll probably leave Fleener to the opposite side of him and and try to get Dwayne Allen in a matchup against a smaller linebacker or quite possibly even one of their nickel corners as far as for the size advantage inside of the red zone. I think that we're going to see a good game out of them. I think that we're going to see a lot of them getting their quick passes for Luck early. I think that we'll see them getting them both themselves and Luck into a rhythm uh, with their run blocking and with their uh, short route passing game. So I think that we'll see good things from them today as well. I don't think that their linebackers are good for Denver. Don't get me wrong. However, I don't think that they either one of them can match up with Fleener or Dwayne Allen, and that's going to prove to be crucial today for Andrew Luck, especially. So let's uh, let's go to the next question here, and this is from Carey. With injuries and underperforming offensive line, can Luck continue to carry the offense? He can, and he will, because he's going to have to. Luck's going to have to make sure that his initial reads are hit, that he's hitting his first and second read often to begin with. Now, as far as bubble screens and so on and so forth on the line of scrimmage, or down the line of scrimmage, he's going to have to watch himself and be careful not to throw a quick interception. There's not going to be anybody there to challenge whoever was to make it for a return for a touchdown. So he's going to have to make sure his reads are crisp, keep himself in the game, make sure he's reading the defenses as they are, and not try to make it too difficult on himself. Not try to read too much into what the defense is showing him, and just do what he does. Now, if he can get himself into a rhythm in his first 8 to 10 passes, I think we'll start to see him get his second and third reads a little further downfield, and maybe get, try to stretch the field a little bit with Ty. I think we'll see. I think we'll see him target Moncrief a little more if he was to get in the game. I think that he will, regardless of Reggie Wayne playing today and getting his playing time. I think that Moncrief is going to get his snaps as well. I think that we'll see at least 10 to 12 snaps out of Moncrief today, and I think they'll use him in several different ways. Next question is from David. This is a Twitter question. Do you expect Richardson to get the vast majority of carries regardless of his success? I think he means whether he plays well or badly. Uh, is he going to be continue to be the bell cow throughout the game? We don't know. The past has shown us that they're going to give him the ball with Ahmad Bradshaw being there and being a formative backup for Trent. I think that we see a bit of a 1-2 punch with them. I don't think that they're going to throw Trent out there for the first 10 to 12 carries of the game. I think they're going to mix it up a bit, and I think they should. Um, Leads to less predictability, of course, and that's one of the problems with the offense, with the um, with the backfield, and with the formations. The predictability is pretty high and has been in the past. That's one thing that needs to change, and that they need to eliminate, especially with the vast improvement of the Denver's defense. These guys can play ball, and they're going to have to watch what they do. So, next question is from Andrew. Can Mike Adams fill the starting role at safety without being a huge liability? Again, he's going to have to. Sergio Brown possibly being out for the game, um, and really Colt Anderson being the only other guy to fill in. Um, they're going to have some issues at safety, and he's going to have to play out. And this is his former team as well, going up against the Broncos. So we're going to have to see Mike Adams be solid in run support, and we're going to have to see him be fundamental in his coverages, and he's going to have to make sure that he's there. Um, between himself and LaRon Landry, we've noticed, at least recently in the last couple preseason games, that they, Landry from last year and Mike Adams from this season, this preseason, the tackling has to be superb up the middle. A lot of early. One of Demarius Thomas's biggest attributes is his quick catch and long run ability. And the middle of the field has to be solid. The safeties have to be solid in their tackling, and they have to be even better in their coverages to ensure a lack of big plays from this Denver offense. We can't give them any more than they've already got with Demarius Thomas, uh, Emmanuel Sanders, and Peyton Manning. I mean, he's going to, Monte Ball out of the backfield as well. They're going to have to cover him, screens especially. Peyton is fantastic at throwing the quick screens and getting a ton of yards out of them, especially with Demarius Thomas. So I think Mike Adams' role is actually key today in keeping the pass catchers for Denver on the side, to keep them from being any more impactful than they already will be. So I think Mike Adams' role today is absolutely vital. This next one is a Google question from Michelle. Will Pep call his plays like last season, or will he take the offensive and use his second half play calling from last season throughout the entire game? We've heard already from, at the beginning of the season, from Pep saying that he's going to have a score first mentality this year. Whether that proves to be true or not is yet to be seen. So we we definitely are going to have to see where he's at with his play calling. And you know, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we saw 3 to 4 straight runs, from Pep. But at the same time, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see 3 or 4 initial passes, just like we did in the first preseason game against the Giants, or I'm sorry, the Jets. It really depends on Pep's morning, I suppose. If he's had his coffee, maybe then we'll get a little more diverse play calling. If not, Pep seems to be a little hard-headed in his play calling, especially against certain teams that he thinks something's going to work, whether it does or doesn't. He continues that until there's almost nowhere to go, and the Colts have to come back, and that's where you see a lot of the good play calling, a lot of the superb formations that he can do. He has a great mind, and he has a lot of fantastic plays up his sleeve. The only question is, will he use them, and how will he use them? That's something that I think is a little more difficult and impossible to predict. We will see probably both sides of Pep, whether we see it early or whether we see it with a lead at some point early or late in the game. It really depends. Pep's got to be on his game today, and outside of the divisional round in the playoffs last year, in the second half, his play calling was good. In the first half, his play calling, he tried to open it up with some passes. They were very risky passes, and they proved to be a downfall in the beginning of the game and put the Colts into a huge hole early. So his play calling had gotten better at the end of last season, and I hope that we see that as well. I'd rather see Pep mix it up early and get us to where we can at least be within a field goal or have the lead, and hopefully get ourselves in a good position to win and stay in this game for the long haul, as we know it's going to be difficult, and play calling is paramount in this. Uh, Got a question here, also a Google question from Jay. Should Reggie's expectations be that of years past, or should they be less due to his age and last season's ACL injury? Expectation wise, I don't think that you can put the expectations on his season for years past. He is older. He is coming off an ACL injury. However, as far as today's game, you're going to see Andrew target him, I think, as much or more than anybody. He is absolutely the lifeblood of this offense. He and Fleener are by far his security blankets within the offense as far as the pass catchers. And there are a lot of reasons why you would want to target Reggie Wayne. The man has fantastic hands. He is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and Andrew Luck has as much or more confidence and probably more than in Reggie than he does in anybody else on the Colts roster. So I think expectations, if we're going for just expectations for tonight's game, then I'm going to say that Reggie's going to probably be in the 8 to 10 catch range, and I think we're going to see at least on the first couple drives, we're going to see at least 3 or 4 of those catches or targets anyhow, right away and early. Reggie is as good at getting anybody into a flow, and he will be absolutely vital for Andrew Luck. And I don't think that his injury or his age play any part in his game. He's gonna catch the balls. He's gonna be his possession wide receiver self, and he's gonna make plays. He's gonna chew up yards. He's gonna get 8 or 10 yards even on quick slant routes, and he's gonna get himself down to where he doesn't have to take a big hit from anybody. And I think that Reggie Wayne's going to have a fantastic season. If we're just going for tonight, I think Reggie has a very good game. I mean, you have to it's Reggie. It doesn't make a difference what his age or his injury past is. Yes, his injury presents recurrence of injury. Uh, However, he's not going to play like he's scared to get hurt. Reggie's going to go out there and he's going to do his thing. And I think Reggie's going to have a good game tonight. I think Reggie will have upwards of 60 to 70 yards worth of catches, and I think he'll have between 8 to 10 catches throughout the game, and probably another 3 or 4 targets depending on uh, Pep's play calling as well. Another Twitter question here is, how do you see the linebackers faring against Manning specifically in their coverages? This is something that has me a little worried, especially with DeQuell Jackson. We saw himself and Freeman get beat a few times in the last preseason game. I'm sorry, in the third preseason game, and coverage is probably going to be an issue. Henoch Mwamba has proven that he can get to both sides of the field, uh, whether it's in his coverages or his pursuit of the ball carrier. Josh McNary had been injured late in the preseason, where he set out the majority of it, although he's proven last year that he is very good at getting himself into his zone drops, especially quickly, and making smart decisions and good plays. And I think that the linebacker core as a whole will do well. I wonder and worry the most, as I spoke about before, about the times when we're not in a nickel package and Butler's not in there, when they run the motion across to get the outside receiver inside of the slot. When that ultimately will be linebacker's key at the time, and that's what worries me the most. Running the outside receiver, whether it's Demarius Thomas or otherwise, running them across the field with the rest of them, the rest of the wide receivers streaking and going, and leaving the underneath route to one of the top wide receivers in the game against any of our inside linebackers. That's going to be a problem. So people are going to have to be on their P's and Q's, especially the linebacker core, whether or not it's just in coverage or run support. They've got to be on their game. Now, DeQuell has stunned it a lot throughout the preseason. They've shown good blitz packages with him, and I think that they'll leave the majority of the coverage to Jarrell Freeman. However, history shows us that you can't blitz Peyton Manning very often. And if you do, you've got to come with a very intricate blitz, and you have to be smart and be exotic about your blitz packages because he will absolutely spot them before the line, before the snap of the ball, and he will eat you up and beat you at any point in time throughout the game. So the Colts have to be smart. Minuski's got to have a stellar play calling game, and I think that the linebackers overall will be a big key to watch today to see how that they follow the wide receivers and get themselves into position to make plays on the ball. Another Twitter question from Mike: how many yards will Luck have, both passing and rushing? I'm terrible at predictions as far as specifics. However, you can just about assume that Luck's going to have uh, between 250 and 300 yards, depending on the play calling and depending on the timing of the play calling. I think that his rushing yards will be somewhere between 30 and 50, as there will certainly be a couple times when he's got to leave the pocket. He's got to get himself and the Colts a first down. He's fantastic at that. It literally takes an offensive lineman a defensive lineman or a linebacker to get Luck to the ground. He's not going to be physical to the ground by a corner very often unless it's a backside hit in his blind side. So you've just got to assume that Luck's going to be himself. He's going to stand tall in the pocket, and he's going to shrug the majority of people off. There's not any one-arm tackles on Andrew Luck, and he'll get himself free, and he'll get himself a couple of first down runs. Hopefully that doesn't have to happen. I would rather say that Luck might have about 10 to 15 rushing yards because that means that the offensive line's doing their job. Passing yards, like I said, I think he'll be between 250 and 300. I think he'll get two touchdowns today. He might run for one on a designed run for Luck. So there are a lot of things that go into predictions, and those aren't my forte. However, we've all seen what Luck can do in the past couple years, and we can pretty much guess about what his stat line is going to be. The one thing that concerns me are the timeliness of his plays and his reads, and if he is to throw an interception, Luck has a short memory. We all know that. He doesn't sit and worry about it. He's going to come back and he's going to do his same thing. He's going to go right back to the way he plays. The timeliness, though, could be critical, and he's going to have to be on top of his game from the opening snap until the final whistle. So I think we'll see good things from Luck today. I don't think anybody needs to be necessarily worried about that. Again, visit profootballspot.com. It's a forum-based site covering all 32 NFL teams. Sign up, become a member for free, and interact with all of our writers and contributors. As you can see here at the bottom of the screen, you can see me on Twitter at mdanley_PFS or at profootballspot.com in the Colts forum. Another thing I want to get to really quick as we close up. I think that specifically DeQuell Jackson is the key today. If there's a key to victory on the defensive side of the ball, I think DeQuell is it. DeQuell has troubles in coverage, and you've seen him, and I've seen him, and we've all seen him struggle past with his run defense and his tackling. He is a beast coming across the line of scrimmage and making tackles in the backfield. However, when he has to take on a lead blocker or an offensive lineman, get into that second level with the linebackers, he struggles in the open field as well. So I think DeQuell is one of the biggest keys on defense. I think he needs to have a fantastic game for the Colts to be formidable in both the passing against the pass and the rush. I think he will. I think he's a gamer, and I think that himself and Mike Adams will probably be the two biggest keys. And I think obviously, Peyton doesn't discriminate. He's going to go through his reads and he's going to hit who's open, whether that means it's whoever Vontae Davis is hovering over, or whether it's a slot receiver with Butler, or whether it's a slot receiver with linebacker coverage, he's going to hit the open guys. And the Colts have to have a top-notch tackling game today, as well as being able to make sure that they can get their drops against the vertical routes, because those seam routes and those vertical routes outside the numbers are deadly with Peyton Manning. He doesn't have the biggest cannon of an arm, but the man is extremely accurate and can pretty much drop a football in a bucket from 45, 50 yards away. So I think those are my keys on defense. On offense, I think Pep is the key on offense. Aside from the guy who's going to be tossing the ball around and Andrew Luck, Pep has to have himself a top-notch game with his play calling, and cannot allow anything to get in the way of the strategic moves that he needs to make throughout the game, setting himself up in mismatch, or the wide receivers and the running backs in mismatches. He's got to get Trent Richardson involved in screen passes, and he's got to get him his wide receivers in good plays, and he's got to be able to have especially the quick option. He cannot allow for one wide receiver to try to take Talib deep considerably continually, because TJ Ward, they're going to be there. He has to get the guys that need to be open, and stop worrying about taking a certain player or a certain defender out of a play. I think the screen game today could prove to be huge. Could more than likely produce a touchdown, regardless of where it's at on the field. They are susceptible to that. They are aggressive, their defense, just as they are improved. However, with their aggressiveness brings a lot of opportunity on the screen passes in the short passing game to break out some big plays. I think that there are a lot of areas today where the Colts know that they need to improve from what they've shown in the preseason, offensive line being one of them. Although I think the defensive line is extremely formidable, excuse me, and I think that they'll allow less than 100 yards rushing out of Monte Ball. I don't think that Monte will get any more than 20 carries today, and they've got to be absolutely locked down on him, and get him out of a rhythm and keep him from getting his large 5 and 8 yard runs early. And if they can do that, they're going to turn Peyton into a one-dimensional player, which is exactly what has always been. Even as Colts fans, when he played it here in Indianapolis, we knew that if the running game isn't working, there's going to be a couple draws throughout the game, but Peyton's largely going to take the ball to the air and try to make up for everybody else's lack of play. So I think we have a good game tonight. If I'm going to predict a final score, I think the over/under was 55 for the game tonight, and I don't see that being the case. I'm going to go under, but I think the Colts. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Colts start early, and I think that it's quite possible that there's a major upset this year. I don't for the first game. I don't think that the Colts allow Peyton Manning to go off for 7 touchdowns like Baltimore did last year in the opening weekend. I think that the Colts are going to win 27-17. I think it's a fairly low scoring game for Peyton Manning, but I think that again, whether it's in Mile High or whether it's in Indianapolis, I think that the Colts are going to have his number for a while. We're the only team that Peyton's never beat. Granted, it's only been one season, one game since Peyton's left Indianapolis, but I think our Colts know him well enough. I think that everybody will get up for this one if there's nothing else for us to get up for, and we'll show early how it is. And if they don't, they'll get routed, and the game will be an absolute blowout, likely the other way, and it could even be 30s, 34-17. So the Colts have to be on their game. But I'm sticking with my prediction on the game, and I hope everybody enjoys Saturday Night Football. Thank you for joining me. I'm Matt Danley here on Spot Colts Radio for the pregame Q&A. Everybody have a fantastic Sunday and enjoy your football today.